Hi, everybody. So this is just kind of an introduction video to the class and what we're going to be doing, how everything's set up. I want to give you a little bit of a tour of the website so that you don't feel like you're just dropped in and let go. One of the most important things, though, that I want to get across to you is that you should expect to have some sort of live interaction. Trying to do an online class is hard in any case, but it's almost impossible if you're not working with somebody. I strongly encourage you to get into groups, work with study groups. We've got group rooms that are going to be available 24/7 for you to meet up and get together with your group members and your classmates. But also, I think it's important that you meet with me. I'll be having live help sessions throughout the week. Sally, my wife, who's also an astronomy teacher here, will be having some other ones. And it generally, you should plan on just coming to one of those once a week. It's an online class, so you get to choose when you want that to be. It's not like, you have to be in the classroom at a specific time or whatever like that. However, what I've found is that a lot of students will just show up to the live help, they'll sit down, they'll do their homework, they'll do their lab, they'll get it done, and they're fine. Sometimes they don't need any help at all. Sometimes they'd be like, Kilo, this isn't working, I don't understand. And I can just look at it and say, oh, well, you need to do this, this, or this. Boom, you're good, and you're moving on. The difference is if you're trying to do it by yourself, now you're stuck. You're going to keep trying it, 5 or 6 times, and then you're finally going to send me an email or you're going to post in the discussion boards or something like that. You're going to go, Kilo, this system doesn't work. I need help. This isn't working. Da 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 da. And now it's taking you days to do it. So for that reason, you really should not plan on just Saturday, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do my online class, and I'm going to get it over with. It can't be done. That's the most important thing that I want to try to get across to you. You really need to consider this to be just like you were in an in-person class from that. And if you take 2 or 3 days that you've set aside to work on it, preferably with me, then you're going to be fine. And you're actually going to find that it's fun. Now, some of the classes that you might take, you know how it's usually pretty easy at the beginning and then it progressively gets harder as you go on. This class is not like this. This class, all of the hard stuff is at the beginning. Once you've learned that, then we're going to apply it to all the rest of the concepts that we're going to go. And if you understand that stuff in the beginning, the rest of it's easy and you're having fun instead of struggling trying to keep up and learn this new stuff using material that you didn't really learn in the first place from that. So the thing I want to impress on you is to get started, get a regular time, stay with it, and come see me. Work interactively, and we'll be fine. Okay? All right, so what we're going to do here, I'm going to shift over and show you the website. We are going to have some live help sessions where you can come and ask questions this week about the class, anything that you want. I strongly recommend you to take advantage of that. All right, let's get started. I'm sure you've all seen Canvas before. If this is new, okay, then take a look and poke around. It's not actually that hard to use. But I want to give you an idea of what you're going to find and kind of how this course is structured, because it's the same way every week. Once you get into that rhythm, you're going to be just fine. So this is your start page. This is where you would expect that you would start from here. The obvious thing here is start here. Hey, go figure, right? But before we go there, I just kind of want to give you an idea of what all these buttons are. Start here is just going to take you to the modules page. This is where all of your work is going to be for each week. All right, and we'll talk about the structure of that in just a second. Right here, these are the group workrooms. And as I said, these are open 24/7. So what you can do then is you can just say, hey, let's all meet in group 1. And then when you click on that, that's going to load a Google Meet site. We use Google Meet for everything here. Some of you may be more familiar with Zoom or Teams or, God forbid, WebEx or something like that. Meet has the advantage that it has the live captioning. It's got all of the systems that I need to use when I'm teaching. So everything that we do here when you're interacting with me will be in Google Meet. Also, it's free. It's built into your browser. It's built into your Gmail system. So you've got it there. There is an important thing that you need to know, though. When you enter the room, and the camera's not going to work because I'm using the camera to record this, but I'm going to move the video picture here. You see how this is logged in using my regular Gmail account here? What you need to do, you must make sure that you're using your maricopa.edu address. So it's going to be your MEID at maricopa.edu. If you use some other address, then I can authorize you to come in just for that one session. But if I'm not there, if you're meeting with your friends, or if you're coming into live help and I don't happen to notice the alert, then you're going to be locked out. You're not going to be able to get in. So make sure that you choose that maricopa.edu address. And then when you're ready, just click Join Now. and it starts it up, and now you're getting to see me twice. But you see how that works, okay? And it's got the typical functions that you might expect with Zoom. One of the big ones, of course, I use closed captioning so that it all will show up down here. You can see that it's interpreting my words right there. The other thing, though, that you're going to use a lot is going to be sharing your screen. So you see right here where the button says Present Now. When you click that, generally what you want to do is just share your entire screen. Now, the computer's going to freak if I do this too much, but it'll give you this kind of browser window, and you see it's already starting to freak out there. But if you click on that and then share, it will show everything that you're seeing on your screen to me. That is going to be really important. I'm going to go ahead and exit Google Meet here. That is going to be real important whenever we're trying to work together, because what's going to happen is you're going to get stuck. You're going to say, Kilo, this doesn't make any sense to me. I can't figure out what this thing is doing. However, the way the system works, it's giving random numbers to everybody. So you're not going to have the same numbers as somebody else. So unless I can see your work, I've got no way to help you. So knowing how to share the screen like that is actually really important for you to be able to do that. All right. All right. So let's go back to the home page. Live help, this is where you'll come to get tutoring from. It's like kind of like office hours. You click on this. These are my wife Sally's hours. She's got Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Mine right now are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can come to either one of us. We are married. We do talk about you, so we know what's going on. If you're working with, if Sally's times work better for you, hey, go for it. That's not going to be a problem. She does everything that I do. So feel free to come to either one of us, and she'll fill us in. If none of these times work for you, then talk to me, post a discussion. We'll see if we can find another time that works for you. I'm kind of hard to reach on the weekends. My daughter's just started college this year, so we're driving to California in the weekends and things like that. So I'm a little bit harder. I'm always on email. I'm always on the discussion boards, but live help probably generally needs to be during the week. But I'm kind of flexible as to when that's going to be. So just post. Let me know what works for you. All right, this is your discussion boards. This is your go-to place for getting help from the group. This is the fastest place that you'll be able to get help. And your first assignment is going to be to actually use this. So what you're going to do, you're going to create a discussion. You can just click that right there. And I keep having to move my picture around. Give it a topic. And then if you're asking a question, what you need to post is, first of all, what you're working on, what you think the answer should be, and what the problem is giving. That way we can look at it and say, oh, okay, you've got this misconception, or this part isn't quite right, or whatever, and we can figure it out. If you just post and say, I don't know how to do this, that's not helpful, because I can't type up an entire lecture in a space of a discussion post from there. So make sure that you're giving me as much details as you can. Also, a key thing is to include a screenshot. Now, I can't make my camera look at my laptop keyboard here, but almost all keyboards have something called a print screen button. So what you want to do is get it on the screen, hit print screen. Now that copies it into the buffer. And so now all you have to do is you just click in the post and do Control V for paste. Hold down the Control key and press V, and it'll actually paste the picture in there directly. If you can't figure out how to do that, or you don't have a print screen button for some reason, you can use your cell phone, get a nice picture, take a picture of it, and then you can actually upload it as an attachment to it. The problem with that is that it won't show inline. People will have to view it in a separate window, which is a little tedious, but there's a lot of steps to getting it up. So the easiest thing by far, hit that print screen button, Control V for paste, and you're good to go. All right. If you have any questions about that, don't hesitate to contact me. Now, one thing about email, I strongly prefer that you send it through the discussion board and not to my email directly. If you have a question about the class or something like that, and you send it to me by email, I'm probably going to say, hey, can you make a discussion post for that? The reason for that is you've got the question, you can guarantee that at least 10 other people have the same question. So that's why I want you to have it on the discussion board. That way you can go up, people can go ahead and respond to that, or they've got the same question, they can go and get help from it really quickly that way. If it's something personal, something that you don't really want to announce to the class or something like that, by all means, just go ahead and email me. But pretty much all of your communication should be through the discussion board. The nice thing about the discussion board is that Canva sends me an alert, and it actually shows up on my watch. And so I instantly know that somebody has made a post. I can go over there and I can see what's going on. So that is by far the fastest way to get in touch with me. All right, so we're going to cancel that, and then we'll go back to the home page here. Last thing is the astronomy resources page. You're going to need a calculator for this class. I will show you a calculator here in just a minute. If you don't have a calculator, you're in college. It's time. So the big things is, and this is listed in the syllabus, but you want to make sure that it's got a scientific notation button. That will either be EE or EXP. Occasionally it's X10X. I don't like those. The problem with those is that a lot of them have a bug and they actually give you the wrong answer. If you don't remember scientific notation, that's when you're writing something like 5 times 10 to the third, or which is 5,000. You never, ever, ever, ever put that in your calculator as 5 times button 10 raised to the button 3. That will work as long as you multiply. As soon as you divide, it gives you the wrong answer, and that sucks. So you want to make sure that you've got that EXP button. It's a lot faster. You just hit 5 EE 3, done. Don't have to hit equals. You don't have to hit anything. If you can't find a calculator, you've got no way to go out and get one. They're only about 15 bucks. It's worth doing. Don't get one of those fancy schmancy graphic calculators that nobody knows how to use anyway. But this is probably the best online calculator we found. I still don't like it, honestly, but you press OK to get started. It's got that X10X button, which is tedious. So if I was going to do it, I would do this as 5 X10X 3, but now what you see that it's put it in instead of 5EE3 or 5E3, which is what it should be. It's actually written it out as times 10 to the third, but now the cursor's up there. So you have to hit this button right here to bring it back down before you can multiply. So there's a lot more steps to it. Believe me, you want to automate things. You want to get it done quickly. I strongly recommend that you do a lot of your work in a spreadsheet, and we'll be talking about this as we go along. My students have found that once they get going with the spreadsheet, it feels like you're cheating, because it does all the work for you. And you know what? You're in college. You're not in high school anymore. You don't have to do the brute force method using pencil and paper and the calculator and all that. You absolutely can set up a spreadsheet. Now, if you think that spreadsheets, Excel is from the devil, and there's no way you'll ever do that, come by Live Help. Give me 10 minutes and I will show you how to turn it into your dumb slave. All right? Trust me, it's worth it. It's well worth doing. All right, these are some other references. These are actually some worksheets some reference sheets that you're going to need later on in the class. You'll see that when the time comes, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. All right, so that's it for our homepage. Make sure that you read the syllabus. If we go to start here, you need to do everything in the getting started page actually before you begin week 1, which is the week that we're going to be starting here now. So there's some introductions, course expectations, how to get to Live Help, this sort of thing from there, okay? So you'll be able to get access to everything from this. Make sure that you're reading the syllabus. So here's the link to the syllabus. And so what this does is this lists out the grading policy, it lists out everything that we need. Now, I'm not going to go over the syllabus because if you don't know how to read, you're probably in the wrong line of work. But then there is a syllabus acknowledgement quiz that you'll click on, and just basically acknowledging that you've actually read it. It is for 1 point, it is for a grade. The only correct answer is yes, I read it. But that means you better read it so that you can't come back to me and say, Kilo, I didn't know that's how it worked. Okay. So the one thing that I do want to go over is the grading policy, because this does confuse some people sometimes. So what we've got here, there aren't any textbooks for this class. You don't need any textbooks at all. Everything you're going to be able to download straight out of Canvas. The only thing that you do need to buy is Smart Sparrow. So Smart Sparrow is our lab system. It's also what you're going to be using for your exams. We call them assessments, that you'll have one of those a week. You'll have a lab each week. So it's also what your final project will be done in. I'll talk about that in a minute. So generally they give you a week to 2 weeks of free trial. So you'll be able to access it initially without buying the code. Once that trial ends, you're going to need to buy yourself a code. And the last I heard, it was about $40, something like that. So it's a lot cheaper to buy it directly from Smart Sparrow than it is to go down to the bookstore. First of all, with pandemics and things, you shouldn't be going to the bookstore anyway. But so you'll be able to access it. You do have to access it through Canvas. You cannot access it directly from the Smart Sparrow site. The reason for that is that it's tied to your Canvas ID, and that's how I'm getting all your grades. So don't try to bookmark Smart Sparrow and go through that way. You must go through Canvas with that. All right. Your grades, you're going to have basically 2 lectures a week. Each lecture is going to have a practice sheet associated with it. That's your homework. And I'll show you pictures of that later, but the class notes that you download, you do not have to turn in for me. When you're watching the videos, you'll have your class notes out. They have activities that we're going to do while you're in class. Strongly encourage you to do those as a group. Get together and everybody watch the videos at the same time if you can, but you can do it by yourself if you need to. Those will always be the front and back of one page. The homework, on the other hand, is the front side of just one page. That gets turned in and will actually be graded for accuracy. You have to get it exactly right to get the full credit for it. So the way you're going to turn that in, the easiest thing most people do is they just take their cell phone, they take a picture of it, and then there'll be a link in each week's module that you can submit it that way. So do that. Monday is my grading day. I will usually have those graded for you and up on Monday from now. Okay. So your homework is 25% of your grade. When this says exam, that's what we're now calling an assessment. So the way the assessment works, it's done in Smart Sparrow, and it's going to give you a scenario based on what we've done in the previous week. Some of it may be from lab, some of it may be from lecture, it could be from any of that. You will sit down and you'll basically work through the scenario. It's not a quiz in the sense of here's some questions and we want you to answer it. It's generally do something. So, observe with this telescope or calculate, what the mass of this star is, things like that. So it's going to be do something with that. If you've got it wrong, it won't let you go on until you have it right. And the key thing is that every time you get it wrong, you're losing points. So it is possible if you've just totally screwed it up and you just keep putting in the wrong answer, you could finally get to the end of the quiz and get 0 points for it. By the time you get to the end of the assessment, that is. So my rule is if you have tried more than twice, on your third try, stop. You're done. Go get help. Come post on discussion, come by live help, something like that. At this point, you're just getting frustrated. You're not learning anything anyway. So what I want you to do is just stop. It's costing you points. Don't let it cost you any more points. When you finally get to the end, though, and this is what some students asked me to do last year, and it worked out pretty well. So when you finally get and you finished it, maybe you've got 5 out of 10 or something like that. You're like, oh, that's terrible. What you can do is you can do it again. You can do it as many times as you want. And it will report, your final grade will be the average of all of your attempts. So let's say you get 5 out of 10 on the first one. The second time you already know what the answers are now, so you've gotten 10 out of 10. Well, then your overall grade is 7.5. You don't like that? Do it again. Now you've got another 10 out of 10 and your grade jumps up to a little over 8. And you can keep going. You can keep taking it as many times as you want. Now you can never get to exactly 10 because mathematically that's not possible, but you can get it up as high as you want. And you may say, well, Kilo, isn't that kind of weird that I could just keep doing it? Research has shown that the more times you interact with the material, the more likely you are to understand it. And it is absolutely worth it to me for you guys to interact with material more times and have you improve your grade. It's really not that different from when you were in high school and your teacher said, well, you can do corrections and you'll get half credit back. This is even better than that because you can get almost all the way up to full credit if you want. So that's how the assessment works. But the key thing, though, is to make that work well, you want to get it right on the first try if at all you can. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. So no more than 3 tries on that third try. Stop. Come get some help. Let's go over it. Let's figure out where you've got a misunderstanding for that. All right. I'm going to talk about the final project in a minute. Your labs, you will have 1 lab each week, and it is worth also 25% of your grade. Now, the way the labs work, they're also in Smart Sparrow. They're a lot longer than the assessment. You can expect that they're going to take you about 2 hours or so. If the lab period itself is 2.5 hours if we're in person. So I plan them to be about 2 hours. However, again, you're going to get stuck at some point. And so when you've tried twice, on that third try, stop. You're done. No blood on the keyboard from banging your head on it or anything like that. Go get some help. Once you've got some help, then we can keep going. A lot of students, lots of students, plan on just showing up to live help and doing their lab. They'll have their whole group. You'll have 4 or 5 people in one of the group rooms. They'll sit down. If nobody can figure it out, then they say, hey, Kilo, can you come over to room 5? And I'll say, sure. And I show up. They say, we can't figure out how to do this. And I explain it to you. Exactly like if we'd been in person. So I strongly recommend that you do this, during one of the live help sessions, or at the very least, find a time when you can get together with your study group to do it. I got through college on study groups. You can too. All right. Now, the way the labs are graded, though, they're not graded for accuracy. It's perfectly okay to miss things. Once you get to the end, you get the full 10 points. So all you have to do is get all the way through the lab. Now, that sounds easy, but it's not going to let you go on until you understand it. And that's my goal, is for you to understand it. That means it's probably, if you're stuck and you're doing it by yourself, it's going to take you a lot more than 2 hours to do. So make sure, come and do it with me and get some help, or make sure you've allowed enough time so that you can stop, go get the help you need, and then come back to it. It's not something you're going to be able to do on Saturday, guaranteed. So if for some reason, though, you don't get all the way through it, get as far as you can. Let's say, the worst happens and you don't start it until Saturday. Okay, you're not going to finish it, but maybe you get 75% of the way through. Well, then you'll get 7.5 points out of 10. I grade those manually. So you'll see that grade show up in Canvas on Monday when I grade your homework. So you won't see it immediately the way you will with the assessments. So just kind of keep that clear. Some students get confused because it's done in the same system and they think, oh, it should work the same. But no, it's actually two different things for them. All right, so your final project. You do not have a final exam in this class. So for this class, you have a final project. And what it is, it's a telescope simulator. So at the end of the semester, I've got a telescope. You're going to sit down at that telescope. I'm going to give you 3-4 objects to look at. You've got a couple of telescopes, you've got a couple of eyepieces, you've got some detectors, you've got a spectrometer, you've got all kinds of instruments available, exactly as if you were up at the GCC North Observatory. You'll sit down, you'll look at each of these objects. Your goal is to figure out what is it you're looking at. And then you'll choose what you think that object is, and then based on your identification, it's going to ask you to calculate a whole bunch of properties for that. So it's basically going to use everything that we've done throughout the entire semester. The beautiful thing about it is you can keep going. You can keep reviewing it until your grade gets up and you've got it as perfect as you can possibly get. There's no reason why you cannot get a perfect score on the final project. If you're not getting a perfect score, you are lazy. You have a whole week to do it. So if you put it off until the end, yeah, you're probably not going to get that perfect score because you're not going to have time to finish it. But if you start on it as soon as it unlocks, you're almost guaranteed to get that perfect grade. And that's 25% of your grade. So it's real important. But my goal here is for you to be a professional astronomer. By the time we finish this class, you will literally be able to go out, sit down at a research quality telescope and do actual astronomy. Okay? So if you have any questions about that, just come by, but we're going to leave the rest of this for you to read with that. All right, almost done here. I want to look at the structure of each of the weeks. Each week is structured exactly the same way. So the overview tells you kind of what we're going to be talking about, so that's worth giving a read. It also gives you an idea of what kind of materials you're going to need, and then a suggested schedule. And generally, I suggest that you take Tuesdays, Thursdays, and maybe Fridays to do it. All of your assignments are due on Sunday at midnight, all of them. However, obviously, if you're waiting until Saturday, you're screwed. So make sure that you've started before then. And then each week, there'll be 2 lectures. Now, this first week, there's a pre-test that I want you to do. This is a quiz. It's basically, I want to know how much astronomy you already know. You're not expected to get any of them right. So don't worry about your grade. Give it your best shot. See how well you can do. After everybody has taken the quiz, I'm going to go back and manually give you 10 points no matter what. So do your very best, and let's see how you do. Then you're going to see that quiz again later on in the semester. We're going to see how much you've improved from that. We talked about the syllabus acknowledgement form. For the discussion post, to teach you how to use the discussion post, if you click on that, it will give you the assignment. What all you need to do, this is worth 2 points because you need to both make a post and make a reply to get that. The other thing in addition to these requirements that we've got here is I want you to post 2 things that are true about you and 1 thing that's a lie. And then when you reply to somebody else, I want you to guess which one of those is a lie. And I'll start that off with a post, so you'll see that coming up a little bit later. So it's a little bit of fun. All right, so because this is the intro week, you're going to be watching this video that's going to show up right here. And then our first real lesson here is going to be positions in the sky. So each week, for each lesson, there's going to be class notes that you'll download. This is that 1 page, or front and back, class notes. And you'll also notice that there's some activities that we're going to be doing here. In the lecture video, it's going to say, stop the video and do this. You need to stop the video and actually do the work. If you're just watching it, you're not going to learn it. You're going to be struggling. So when it says stop, honestly, stop the video and do it. You don't turn this in. This is for you, but we will be going over it during the lecture video. Okay? If they're useful to you, I also have the PowerPoints available. These are the actual PowerPoints that are being used in the lecture video. Now, the way I do PowerPoints, there's often not a lot of words on them. There are a lot of pictures. So just looking at the PowerPoint isn't going to help you much, but it might help you review some of the material. Then your homework is the practice worksheet. There'll be 2 practice worksheets each week, one for each one of the lessons. You can download this. I strongly recommend that you print it out, but you can fill it out online if you have to. Sometimes we're going to be drawing pictures and pointing things. That gets kind of hard to do if you haven't actually printed it out. So once you've printed it out, though, then fill it out. Take a screenshot or take a picture with your cell phone, or if you've got a scanner, go for that. And then I'll show you where to upload that. But it is always just the front side of one page. This you do turn in, and it's graded for accuracy. So here's where you submit it. If I can get that to show, here we go. So you'll click this on. This is the rubric. This is what you're actually being graded on. I don't have any secrets from you. I'm showing you exactly what it is that I'm looking for. So there is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't get 100% on this. Okay. In your links, you'll actually have a place where you can actually upload it. It needs to be in one of these file formats: PDF, DocX, JPEG, PNG, GIF, or a TIFF. Any of those are fine. All right, and then finally, the lab. This is going to take you to the Spark lab. That's actually not running on the day that I'm making this video. I'm actually making this a week before class started, so I can't show you that. But if you've got any issues with that, just let me know. Let's see if I can get into teacher mode here. I don't think I can. I'll be surprised, but maybe. Yeah, no, it's not going to let me go in. So if you've got any issues accessing that, though, just let me know. Come into Live Help and share your screen, and I can walk you through it. It'll be pretty easy. Smart Sparrow, you don't have to do it all in one go. I recommend that you do, just because it's easier. But if you get interrupted, it saves your work from where you left off. And then the assessment, this is also in Smart Sparrow, and so it works the same way, but it's going to be a lot shorter. It's just going to be a few screens, and then once you get through that, you'll be done. It is graded for accuracy, like we talked about. And then you'll see the different topics that we've got coming. All right. And that is basically it. So let's go back to full screen here. Okay, so that's it. So you've gotten kind of a tour of what's going on. I don't want to be just a talking head on the screen, guys. I'm a real person, you're a real person, we need to be interacting. Astronomy is really best learned in person, but we found that you can be pretty successful with the online format as long as you're not just trying to, read the screen, and you need that interaction. You need that ability to come through. So for that reason, I want everybody to show up to Live Help this week, just once, just so that you can say, hi, Kilo, this is me, and I just wanted to say hi. I don't really have any questions. Or Kilo, I don't understand how this particular thing works, and what do I do? So make sure that you're coming to at least one of the live sessions. Best thing to do is show up at the beginning of one of the sessions that's set up. If you have to just drop in and out, that's fine. But if you show up at the beginning, then I'll be showing everybody kind of a tour at the same time. So, all right, so that's it from me. I will be seeing you guys later on during the semester. Hope you enjoy the class and stay in touch.